Surprise, surprise. And I'm not saying this for the first time, of course. You would have seen my previous video, and I encourage you to watch that video, please. You might need to fast forward if you need to, and to, move all the way to certain parts. Maybe I might try and do timelines, timestamps, and all of those things, just so that you can get certain points about it or skip to certain points. But the video that I've just done before this one is very, very important. It's part of the series that I'm doing now that has to do with us understanding the true nature of this realm, this paradigm that we are operating in. And so, um, you know, most narcissists are happily married. That's the title of the video, isn't it? And I didn't want to make it long. I could have also said, most narcissists are happily married and they are also in long-term relationships. You understand? And I'm saying surprise, surprise, because this is something that a lot of people in the narcissism community are either not aware of, or they haven't really paid much attention to, or we haven't really spoken about it. And but it's something that's right there in our faces. All right. So if you look at it, and if you look at this paradigm that we are living in, there's a lot of things that are hidden in plain sight. Okay. It's like they are not hidden, but you can't see them. So yeah, we might say they are hidden, some kind of a camouflage. Yeah, but that's the world that we're living in. The reason why I'm doing this series is because I want us to have conversations that help us gain clarity or be very, very clear about what it is that we are dealing with when it comes to the social environment and the relationship space. All right, so that we can manage our expectations and we can navigate the space accordingly. So when it comes to relationships, we need to understand that we are working with a distorted environment, a very upside down situation. All right, a lot of mental health professionals will tell you that 90% of households are not necessarily healthy households, and not necessarily conducive for children to grow up in. You understand? And many times, even when they say such kind of things, they're not saying it as in, whoa, let's all panic, but they're saying it from a perspective where they are sort of like trying to imply that, no, it's okay. You don't make a big fuss about the fact that you didn't grow up in the most healthiest environment, because, it's really pretty much the norm. You understand? So that's that whole thing where things are hidden in plain sight. A lot of things have been so normalized that most of the time we don't really get to see the impact that those kind of things have over the broader society, especially real human beings. All right, so um, I also want us to understand, because within the narcissism community and within the dating space, the relationship space, we've got dating gurus and relationship gurus, dating coaches, and those kind of people that are constantly talking to us about how to get the men. Most of these people, they target women. You understand? People who mostly target men are not. I've seen more dating people, and they're not evil people, they're not bad people, they're actually very good people, and they've got a lot of amazing insights that they share in their videos and their content and their work. They do a lot of good work, you understand? But there's something, and it's not just them, it's also us as spiritual practitioners as well, psychics and so on. We are all guilty of this thing, and this thing that we are guilty of is selling this idea to humanity that healthy relationships, the relationship of your dreams, is something that is abundantly available in this world that we are living in. And that's a lie. That's a distortion. That's an illusion. You understand? A lot of these people will tell you about the importance of being practical and realistic in your expectations and so on and so forth. But they're not going to be honest about the fact that if really you have to be realistic and practical about your expectations and everything, then the first thing that you need to be realistic about is the fact that a huge portion of the population is not ready for relationships, is not even healthy enough to create relationships. So anytime you want a healthy relationship, you are actually fishing from a very, very small pond, or in a very, very small pond, or lake, or whatever piece of water. This is something that people that are in the relationship or in the dating space are not really telling people. But how you know that this is a serious problem? You know it because these people who are relationship experts, they are making a lot of money in this business. You understand? Which means there are a lot of people who are desperate and they are coming to them to get help. And as I said, majority of these people, their clientele is women. When it comes to men gravitate towards this, people who are the so-called red pill people, and, people who are basically sort of like, what do we call this, dark psychology type of people, who give you more tools as to how to manipulate people. Men gravitate more towards such kind of things, how to be more powerful, how to be more dominant. You understand? How to be more, I don't know, aggressive, or how to get sometimes, you'll see some of these videos. I don't know how real that whole situation is, but you'll see a video with a title that says how to get a woman to chase you, and it has like, hundreds of thousands of views. You understand? So we are dealing with that dynamic. Okay, there's something that is off with the relationship space that I just want us to be aware of and be clear about, so that we can do what? Manage expectations. Okay. And I'm going to go back to saying a lot of experts will tell you, and I really believe that a lot of experts, mental health experts, who are really honest with themselves about the nature of our reality, not only will they tell you that majority of households are not safe, for children to grow up in, hence many people end up having to, do therapy and a whole lot of things once they become adults. But those mental health professionals will also tell you that most human beings in our day and age are not safe. They are not healthy enough for relationships. All right. And once again, it's people it's professionals who are willing to be honest about a lot of things. I think someone like Sam Wagner, yes, he's absolutely a narcissist, a self-confessed narcissist. You understand? I think mental illness, I think his name is Lee Hammock. And there's another guy, he's a Caucasian guy, but I forget his name. He also, exposes this kind of things that I'm talking about. These are people who focus on the topic of narcissism. These are some of the people that would be very, very honest with you about the reality of this world that we are living in. And I feel like we're not getting enough of it. So it's like on one end, you have people who are very honest with you about the true nature of, the social space that we are dealing with. And then you have other people who are selling you something that is almost on a cloud, but how they're presenting it almost as if it's real and practical. You understand how to get the men of your dreams, what men want, you know, um, how to be the girl that he chases after, or the woman that he chases after, how to be the woman that he, obsesses over, or something along those lines. And then we go running, we flood to those videos, isn't it? But the reality of the matter is that in this day and age, in this narcissistic matrix that we are living in right now, this upside down world, the reality of the situation is that majority of people are not able to create. So there's very little to nothing that you can do to make that person to obsess about you. You understand? So when someone is telling you how to get someone to be obsessed with you, unless you're doing some kind of voodoo magic somewhere somehow, and there's no guarantee that even those things work, it's highly unlikely that you are going to be able to get those results with whatever it is that video is telling you that you can do to get, someone to be obsessed with you. How to land the men of your dreams, how to, all of those things. There are too many factors that get to contribute to how it is that you end up with a relationship of your dreams. And very few of them have to do with you doing anything about it. I've looked around me my entire life. A lot of people that are in long-term relationships did very little to be able to be in those relationships. In most instances, when you are dealing with situations whereby you need to do this, you need to be this, you need to do that in order to be able to get that relationship, that is a gaslight. Because this upside down matrix has destroyed humanity to the most part. It has literally conditioned humanity for toxicity. It has broken humanity. It has made humanity incapable of being safe for each other where intimacy is concerned. Most human beings are not safe where intimacy is concerned. Most human beings are safe in a controlled environment. They are safe at an arm's length type of a situation, distance. Most human beings are not safe in an intimate space where relationships are concerned. And whilst that is the case, this upside down world will still gaslight you into believing that there is an abundance of love and romance out here in the world that you can get for yourself. And the only reason why you're not getting it is because you're not twisting yourself enough into a pretzel. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. Most people that are in long-term relationships, let alone happy or healthy relationships, they have done very, very little to land in those relationships. Many of them might tell you now, after 20 years or however many years of being in those relationships, oh no, I decided to put myself first and then the man came. Or I decided to put myself first and then I met the right one. Yes, some of them could have done that. But many of them did very, very little. Many of them, they did none of that. It just so happened that somehow they were at the right place at the right time and they got together with the right person who was going to be there with them for the long haul. It just so happens that maybe some stars were aligning in some shape or form. It just so happens that for whatever reason, that was the right thing, the right choice for them, and so on and so forth. It's important for us to understand this because many a times people end up blaming themselves for their inability to manifest the right kind of relationships in this world, all because there are certain messages that are being broadcasted by the system of this world to people. And if you are not able to assimilate in some shape or form to certain expectations and certain societal standards that have been set or placed upon you, then you end up feeling like you are deficient in some shape or form, not realizing that the game has been rigged. So if I were to label this series, I would really title it Give Up. Give up on relationships, give up on the dream life, Give up on the American dream. We are all chasing the American dream, even if we are not Americans, isn't it? Give up on all of those things, because all of those things are dangling carrots, and they are unattainable because you have little to no control over them. Anytime someone tells you that you can do this and that so that you can get someone to do this and that, they are selling you lies to the most part, because you cannot control another human being. You're not even supposed to. Yes, this upside down world is predicated on manipulation, deception, mind control, and a whole lot of things. But you need to understand those are spiritual violations. And if you're a real human being, the divine human spirit, that is not your portion. These goals, these ideals, these dreams, this dangling carrot that is being pulled in front of you and the goalpost keeps shifting, has been designed to take you as the divine human spirit and reduce you into a little thing that is busy chasing after things that are unattainable, when you could in fact be literally basking in the glory of your true light and fulfilling your divine mission as a divine being that you are, which is to radiate beautifully. Chasing after things that are not capable of giving you the thing, it's like you are deserting the peace that you are so that you can go and achieve a fake peace that the world out there is trying to promise you. If your happiness is based on external sources, you are in trouble. If your happiness is based on someone being in a relationship with you, or it's based on you achieving a particular goal out there in the world, or if it's based on anything that has to do with external factors that you have little to no control over, then you are in trouble. Because this upside down world does not want to give you happiness. It does not want to give you peace. You understand? So let's be realistic and accept the fact that majority of human beings, especially if you are real human beings in our day and age, in this world that we are living in now, are not going to find themselves in that happily ever after type of a situation that this world has told us happily ever after is. A lot of these things themselves are not evil. A beautiful, 2.5 kids, picket fence, granite counter, lemonade with an umbrella, nice swimming pool there. These things are not horrible things. These things are beautiful things. However, they have been hijacked and are being used as a tool of control now to take away your happiness, to dim your light as the divine being that you are. So if you make those things, if you attach your identity to those things, you are in trouble. If you attach your joy, your peace, your happiness to those things, you are in trouble. A dream career, there's nothing wrong with it. But you are in trouble if your identity, your peace, your joy, your happiness is attached to those things. An ideal relationship, there's nothing wrong with it. It's beautiful. But it's not who you are. It's not all that you are about. So be realistic and accept the fact that it's highly unlikely that you as a real human being are going to find yourself in this type of relationships or having achieved those type of dreams and so on. I don't want to talk too much about the other things, because the other things can always be another story for another time. Here, I just want to focus on relationships, because I don't want to say that you'll never achieve your dreams and so on. No, I don't want to. I don't want it to be that, because, yeah, it's another topic that can, stand on its own. But I just want to focus on relationships. When it comes to relationships, accept the fact that you are highly unlikely, or you are highly likely not going to meet the person of your dreams and have that happily ever after going into the sunset type of relationships. Not in this world. The chances of you experiencing that are slim to none. And I'm not saying this so that I can once again be cynical and bust your bubble. I am saying this because I don't want to deceive you as a spiritual person. I don't want to give you false hope. I want you to reach for joy. I want you to reach for peace. I want you to reach for happiness. And it would be futile for you to reach out for those things where they are not. If you're looking for peace, if you're looking for joy, if you're looking for happiness, don't try and find them in relationships because they are not there. If you believe that another human being is going to give you the joy, the peace, the happiness, the validation, or please give up on that, because that's not going to happen. It's going to come from somewhere else. It's going to come from within. It's always been within. There's nothing wrong with you if you're not able to manifest whatever dream relationship that this world has told you that you are supposed to manifest. It's a lie. We're going to talk about narcissistic relationships between two narcissists, and you will understand that majority of relationships out there, and I'm not saying every relationship, I'm going to issue a disclaimer as well just now. Majority of relationships out here in the world, they are fake. They are toxic. They are only good on paper, on the surface, on social media. I don't care how many years the people could be pushing. They'll be telling you, we've been together for 20 years. We've been together for 40 years. And you'd be like, whoa, you are my relationship goals. And it's like, but We need to get to a point where we understand that just because people have been together for 40 years does not necessarily mean they've had a healthy relationship. Just because the person is the last man standing doesn't mean that, they've been having a wonderful, loving relationship with their partner. Or they've been the only one that was the love of their partner's life throughout the duration of their relationship. Okay, so give up on that. Pursue happiness, pursue true happiness and let go of illusions. All right, this whole fairy tale thing is an illusion. All right, so when you see all these beautiful things that we see on social media, it's like, okay, good, okay, whatever. Don't buy into them because all that glitters is not gold. Okay, so let me issue my disclaimer. A lot of things that normal human beings do are often things that narcissists do. A lot of things that narcissists do are often things that normal human beings do. You understand? So a lot of things that I'm going to be saying about narcissists in these videos and in this series, and some of them I might have already said, many of them might apply to real human beings, but it does, or to other human beings in general. But you need to understand that it does not necessarily imply that you are a narcissist if you have certain things in common with narcissists or narcissistic people, or some of these examples that I'll be giving. So if you hear me talk about how that, a narcissist will stay in an abusive relationship forever and all of those things, and you know yourself, you've been in a narcissistic relationship forever or in an abusive relationship forever, don't automatically assume that I'm implying that you are a narcissist. Or maybe you yourself might be an abusive person or an abusive partner or whatever, or someone that is, cheating on their partner or any of those things. Don't automatically assume that I'm implying that just because you are doing those things, that you are a narcissist. Because in this society that we have all been raised in, unfortunately, we've all been conditioned in some shape or form to be toxic in some shape or form. And in many instances, many people have not yet gotten to the point where they have transcended those limitations. So I might mention that, yes, like, for example, if you think cheating is okay, there's something wrong with you. I'm not going to back down on that. If you think cheating is okay, there's something wrong with you. Definitely, there is something wrong. All right. But it does not necessarily mean that you are a narcissist per se. It might mean that, you've been conditioned, you've been programmed by the system of this world. And maybe, at some point in your life, you might awaken to that reality that you've been conditioned and programmed in a very distorted, upside down way. And maybe you might not. It is what it is. But that does not automatically imply that you are a narcissist per se. So I hope this is clear, because I don't want people to twist my words and now start saying that I'm accusing them of being narcissists or anything like that. No. Unfortunately, a lot of things that narcissists do, a lot of normal human beings also do as well. And not because they are narcissists themselves, but because they have been conditioned. We've all been conditioned here. Everywhere you look, it's narcissism. The system is narcissistic. So we have little to no chance. You understand? And most people have not yet, undone the inner programming. A lot of people are only starting now to undo the programming. So I hope that disclaimer is clear. I try to keep these introductions very short, but yeah, well, it really happens. So now let me introduce this topic once more. Happiness to a narcissist is different to what happiness is to a real human being. You understand? You as a real human being, you are chasing after substance, you are chasing after peace, you are chasing after joy, you are chasing after fulfillment, you are chasing after connection, you are chasing after true intimacy, you are chasing after mutual benefit, you are chasing after containment, enfoldment. That, these are Tilswan's words, and I'm sure she might have probably copied them from somewhere else, because apparently she's notorious for that. Oh, Tilswan, don't get upset with me, okay? But yeah, I've seen things. So you are looking for something else. You're looking for depth. You're looking for substance. You're looking for authenticity. You're looking for loyalty, faithfulness, those kind of things. You're looking to be seen, intimacy. That's, that intimacy. That's what you're looking for as a real human being. You're looking for substance. You understand? That's what happiness is to you as a real human being. This is not the case with a narcissist. A narcissist is shallow. There's no depth there. So all these things that I've mentioned, there's no room for them within their psyche. So a narcissist is only looking for the surface level stuff. I mean, they can talk the talk, of course. They're very good at that. But really, in true reality, they are not looking for those things. Okay? They reject those things. They abhor those things. A narcissist is literally looking for the presentation of, something beautiful. They're looking for what is materialistic, what is superficial. You understand? They're looking for something that glitters, that shines, that is sparkly, something that is often temporary, something that is artificial. That's what a narcissist is looking for. They're not looking for something substantial. Okay, so they want the image, whereas you as a normal human being, you want the real thing. They don't care if they only have the cardboard image of the real thing. A narcissist doesn't care if they have that caricature version. Okay, they are fine with it. All right. In most instances, they prefer that. Narcissists, you wonder why is it that we live in such an artificial world where everything is artificial? Nothing is real. You wonder why. It's because this is a narcissistic world that has been created by narcissists. There are many things where you wonder, did they have to make a fake version of this thing? Really, like, of all the solutions that they could have come up with, like, you hear people talk about how that certain things that are natural are destructive to the environment, and you think, there must be something wrong with this. Of course, there's something wrong with them. They are a narcissist. So to a narcissist, a lot of things that are authentic, natural, and good, and real, and beneficial, they see them as destructive. They prefer things that are fake rather than things that are real. You understand? So Narcissists are happy with having a toxic relationship in real life, but having nice pictures on social media. That's what I'm saying to you. Don't buy into the BS, okay? Don't buy into the things that are being curated to appear a certain way on social media, because a majority of these things are lies. You have no idea how many people I've spoken to my entire life. Like, in most instances, when I look at my life, or to the most part, when I look at my life and the amount of people that I've dealt with and the amount of information that I've collected over the years, sometimes I feel like I've lived 1,000 years. You understand? Like, I feel so old sometimes because I have witnessed so much about humanity, and to a point where I was able to reach the conclusion that, no, man, wait a minute. This system that is so twisted and distorted is trying to literally gaslight us in our faces, trying to tell us, no, it's a beautiful world. Everything is amazing. You understand? Everything is all good. There's nothing wrong here. Meanwhile, everything is on fire. People are broken. Like, you don't understand how broken people are. People are limping spiritually. They're literally dragging their legs spiritually out here in the world. And they have polished themselves nicely on the surface so that you don't really get to see it unless if you're looking, from a certain type of spiritual perspective, if you've got that eyesight. But under normal circumstances, it's like everyone has a mask on, but everyone is broken. People are broken. People are not okay. But somehow the gaslight is that, no, everything is fine. There's something wrong with you if you are battling, if you are not coping. You understand? It's madness. This is a mad world. So if it doesn't make sense to you, don't start thinking that you need to unalive yourself. Don't start thinking that there's something wrong with you. It's not supposed to make sense because it's mad. It's absolute madness. Mad people are in charge of the world. So how on earth will the world make sense? And there are way too many narcissists in the world pretending that everything is fine, pretending that they are fine, busy gaslighting you with their, images of a wonderful life on social media. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't get that. If I can't get that, then that means there's something wrong with me. You don't understand. It's Ooh, I'm laughing because in Setswana they say that means, sometimes the worst of the worst things, the worst of the worst disasters out here in the world, you might just end up just looking at them and just laughing them off, because it's like, what can you do? There's a proverb, or I think it's a proverb in the Bible, all right, that says, I have seen madness in this world, or something like, or wickedness or an evil in this world, where slaves walk, they ride on horseback, whilst masters are walking on foot or barefoot or something like that. And then, as a young girl, I used to have a Bible that used to have pictures, but it was not like pictures like, painted pictures or anything like that. It was like little drawings. Like, it's almost as if someone just, did a little bit of scribblings. I loved that Bible so much, and I lost it over the years. But they had an image of that particular scripture, and that master looked like, they were wearing some kind of a robe, or like sort of like this, it's like a robe or a blanket or something like that, and it was torn up. And so basically the master was a pauper, and the master was like a slave, was occupying the position of a slave, and the slave was occupying the position of the master in an upside down world. This is what we are dealing with. You understand? This is the world that we are living in. Everything is upside down. Kings and queens are the underdogs in this world. You understand? We can always have a conversation about what is all of that about, but that's the reality of the matter. Little children, little 2-year-old adults are occupying positions of power. They're making decisions for everyone else. Not every narcissist is sociopathic or disorganized. Most narcissists are very covert and very self-aware. That's why they are covert. The minute you are dealing with a covert narcissist, you must understand. And I know that, and sometimes there are people who will even say to you that, I think Sam Batman might be one of those people, I'm not 100% sure. But they will tell you that the vulnerable narcissist and the covert narcissist are not the same, So for me personally, I would like to agree a little bit with it, because in my experience, I've witnessed a different type of a narcissist that you would call covert, but it's almost covert. It's almost as if it's covert covert psychopathic type of a narcissist, or it's like because even the psychopathic aspect of it, it's like maybe not quite psychopathic, but bordering on psychopathic. You understand? Not psychopathic as if perhaps they would not go to the length that a psychopath would go to. For example, psychopaths will just unalive you and just chop you into pieces, and they might even eat those pieces. You understand? And they might even send someone a picture of those kind of, you get what I'm saying? And they might make the whole thing look very beautiful, very artistic, very strategic, that kind of thing. But this type of a narcissist doesn't go that far per se, but they get close enough. They cause enough harm, and they are very, very strategic. So it's like that level of strategy or strategic thinking that is bordering on psychopathic that I'm talking about here. So this is, I would say, it's covert narcissism rather than vulnerable narcissism, in that it's narcissism that is consciously, intentionally, and deliberately hidden. So this is the narcissist that is aware of what they are, fully aware of what they are aware that they are a demonic spirit. And this is where you'd hear some people even saying that, some people might even just say, I'm a child of the devil. You understand? But usually this covert narcissist that I'm talking about, their level of awareness, they might know that they are a child of the devil, for example, in their hearts, but they will not tell you. You understand? They will keep it a secret to themselves. And then they'll have that, that sadistic, narcissistic glee, that smug, the duper's delight, where they're looking at you like, I got a secret. You don't know what I know. I know things that you don't know. There's that type of a narcissist. So he knows or she knows that they are demonic, but it's like they delight in deceiving you into thinking that they are this wonderful little angel, isn't it? They are this innocent human being that is, just kind, beautiful, loving, sweet, harmless. The covert narcissist is also, most especially, those type of narcissists that love to cloak themselves as sheep. You understand? The wolf in sheep clothing. This is that covert narcissist. You understand? This is the false light worker. You understand? This is this person that presents themselves as, they like to do this thing called virtue signaling. They like to present themselves as this amazing human being when they are the opposite. You understand? They come across as kind, generous, philanthropic, all of those things. But all of that is done according to strategy. It's strategic. It's done so that this person can achieve whatever goal that they want to achieve. So this is majority of the narcissists that we are dealing with in the world. This is my point, because many times when we talk about narcissism or narcissists, people think that we are talking about people who are just sociopathic and just disorganized. And usually a lot of people that you are able to pick up that, especially if you're able to pick them up very quickly, that they are narcissists, most of the time they are pretty much bordering on sociopathic. You understand? So they don't have that high level of awareness that a covert narcissist has. You understand? So that's why they will be clumsy in many ways, and that's why you'll be able to very easily catch on to them. So, but and these are the ones that are often, the ones that are spoken about out here all over the social media space, the narcissism community. These are the ones that are very popular because, they're very overt, even though they might be covert in some shape or form, but they're very overt. You understand? But the covert narcissist, you hardly hear about them. The real McCoy type of covert narcissist that I'm referring to, because they form a huge portion of the population, the narcissistic population. All right. They hide in plain sight very nicely. They are the normal person, the soccer mom. You understand? They are the pageant mom. They are often just basically minding their own business, quote unquote. They are those people that, on a larger scale, they make very little to no noise in such a way whereby, they end up getting exposed in that way. No, they operate within a particular lane or a particular framework. You understand? So it's like they don't go beyond certain limits. You understand? So this is a huge portion of the narcissistic population. Okay. So once again, those narcissists that, you'll often be talking about, and we are all exposing them, here in the narcissism community and all of that, those are often the lower functioning type of narcissists. You understand? They are the lower functioning narcissists whereby, very quickly you're able to catch on to them and all of that. But if you are dealing with the type of covert narcissist that I'm talking about, even if you're in a relationship with that person, it may take you many, many years before you eventually wake up to the realization of what it is that you are dealing with. That's how good they are at hiding who they are. That's why I tell you that they border on psychopathy. You understand? Because most psychopaths, their partners don't even know that this person is busy chopping people up, and he's got some kind of a shrine somewhere, somehow, where maybe he's busy burning these people, or he's busy eating them, or doing something. Like, literally, your partner would not know that you have a double life that you are living. All right. So that's how a lot of psychopaths operate. They are that good at hiding who they are, that the people in their lives often never really know, never ever know what it is that they're doing. This is the kind of person that is able to raise a beautiful family. They will be smiling, laughing with their children, laughing with their partner, going on holiday, doing all these normal things. Nothing weird about the person. Meanwhile, they've got maybe about 50 people that they've killed ruthlessly, horribly, and no one knows. They've got some little dingy corner somewhere, some dingy little, cave or something where they bury those body parts and things like that. Okay. The covert narcissist that I'm referring to here operates slightly like that. The only difference between them and that person is that the covert narcissist doesn't go to that extent where, they decapitate people and do all sorts of things. They probably don't commit that type of crime. They probably might not even commit any crime to, like that. You understand? They will just be that strategic, whereby this person is still a nasty piece of work, but no one knows. No one knows. You know, the family thinks that this is an okay person and all of that. Meanwhile, there's one or two people somewhere, somehow, that they are using as some kind of a punching bag. You understand? Somewhere, somehow, there's an outlet that they are having that no one knows about. And how they are outletting whatever their demons, it's not in such a harsh way that a psychopath would be doing it. You understand? And majority of the time, they might actually be using you as their partner, as that outlet for their evil nature, but you would not even be able to do anything about it because you would not see it, because the cuts would be so small, and how they carry out their operation would be in such an innocent looking way that there will almost always be this thing that people often call plausible deniability. You understand? So they operate within, I don't know, it's almost as if they operate within or through the cracks in the system. They operate in those gray areas where you are not able to really say, you know, this person intentionally did this. You will never be able to pinpoint evidence. You will not be able to have any evidence to say this person really did this. You have to know, really have to know exactly what it is that you are looking for and what is it that you are looking at to be able to see what you are dealing with. But under normal circumstances, you're not going to see it because they're not as reckless as other narcissists. You understand? And as I said, this is the majority of narcissists that we are dealing with out here in the world. You know, so a lot of these covert narcissists, they make their narcissism to work for them. Okay, they are aware of, you know, they are self-aware. So they've looked at themselves, they looked at their environment, and they saw what odds are working in their favor, and so they are using the system in their favor in that regard. Right. And usually this type of narcissists are the ones that will go for long-term relationships. Okay, they will go for that those marriages and pardon me, and things like that. They will do that because they would have observed and assessed and seen what is it that would be able to legitimize them, what is it that would be able to validate who they are, and what would be the most effective way through which they are able to also extract narcissistic supply. And they would have determined that being in long-term relationships, raising families, being married, and all of that is one of the most effective ways through which they can come across as an upstanding citizen within society. So a lot of covert narcissists gravitate towards the image of the upstanding citizen. You understand? The one that is always impeccably dressed, and they almost always are, doing all the right things that the good citizen is supposed to be doing. The covert narcissist is the perfect image to the most part of the good citizen, but of course only on a surface level, because let's face it, they are raising children. Their children almost always look immaculate as well, just as immaculate as they look themselves. But everything about them is always beautiful and perfect on the surface, not inside. I really hope no one is hearing me right now as I'm busy doing this recording, because it's in the middle of the night and people are sleeping, and I'm doing my best not to be too loud. So the image is almost always perfect on the surface, but the contents thereof are almost always horrible, bitter, distorted. They are off, rotten. You understand? In Setswana we say, "Osibone tolwana boredi," or something along those lines. So that means, don't judge a book by its cover. Don't assume that just because something looks beautiful on the outside, that automatically means things are also beautiful inside. Most of the time, things that fruits, because tolwana boredi, it's a fruit. It's a certain type of a fruit. On the outside, it looks very delicious, but if you try to eat it, it's poison. You understand? So that's what I'm saying. Don't buy into this social media thing. Don't buy in anything and everything that looks glittery on the surface. Don't automatically. This is the illusion that narcissists have sold us, and they even try and judge us by those standards. And yes, sometimes it does count to a certain extent, but not the way that narcissists make it out. It's like, according to the standard and system of this world, which is narcissistic, so which means according to narcissists, it's like if you look a certain way, if you look polished all the time, that means you are worthy of respect. And then if you look down to earth, or maybe sometimes not all polished and all well put together, then that means there's something wrong with you. That means you are not deserving of respect, or you deserve to actually be abused and all of that. I don't know if you've seen it. Narcissists have little to no respect for people that are not quote unquote put together from a physical perspective. You understand? But Setswana says, "Also when you elaborate." So meaning, just because someone looks polished on the outside does not necessarily mean that they are polished inside as well. It does not imply that. Let narcissists fall into that trap themselves, because they are the ones that set it up. Don't fall for it. How many people have been conned, swindled, and deceived by people who looked the part on the surface? But in truth, they were nothing but a scheming con artist. All right. Narcissists are those people, covert narcissists are those people that will have the image on the surface, but they will have none of the characteristics within. All right. So for them, it's all about maintaining the reputation, maintaining the image, maintaining the external appearance of being that upstanding citizen. All right. So the system is set up for them, where we all doing certain things, like the Truman Show. I don't know if you notice that this world is running a Truman Show type of a situation. It's a Truman Show. It's a plasticky thing where we all waking up every morning, and we're doing our routines, and then the clockwork. We are just doing the clockwork thing. No one does the Truman Show better than a narcissist. No one does this better than a narcissist. Narcissists love it. They love it. It doesn't matter how many times they complain about it. They love it. You understand? They love the Truman Show. They love this fake show. They will complain. But the thing is this, when you complain about things as a real human being, is different from when a narcissist is complaining about it. And narcissist is complaining for different reasons. You are complaining because you are really suffering. The narcissist is complaining because they are trying to extract narcissistic supply. Not because they have a problem with the system, because they love the system. No one upholds the system more than the narcissist. No one understands, whether it's unconsciously or consciously, but no one understands the benefit of the system more than the narcissist, because they know that it was designed for them at some level. They know that the fake food is for them. They know that the toxicity, all these lower frequency things that exist all over the world, it's for them. They know very well it's for them. So they love it. Okay. And then, yeah, just to finalize on this second point of this very lengthy introduction, most narcissists are actually obsessed with long-term relationships, with the image of family, and also the image of the successful marriage and all of those things. They are obsessed with these things because they have observed that these are the things that the system uplifts, the system values, the system loves. You understand? So the system has what narcissists do, because they are non-player characters. They put their ear on the ground to listen out for what the system is broadcasting. You understand? So if the system says, do this and this and this and that, the first people to run towards those things that the system is instructing them to do are narcissists. So if the system says, go to school, all right, get an education, get a job, get married, and all of those things, the first people to run to those things are narcissists. Okay. And they will run with that program. They will never question it. They will never have an issue. At any point in time, if they begin questioning it, remember, it would be to extract narcissistic supply. It's not because they would really be going through some kind of a, crisis where they are waking up in some shape or form. You understand? But they uphold this thing. A few years back, when they said there's this medicine that everyone is supposed to take, and, even if no one knows how is it that everyone was able to come up with this medicine so fast, and it's supposed to alleviate this particular problem, the first people who ran for that medicine, narcissists. Because narcissists trust the system with their life. Why is it that they trust the system as much as they do? Because they understand at some level that they and the system are one. All right. Finally, most long-term relationships in our day and age are between two or more narcissists. All right. Believe it or not, most long-term relationships in our day and age are between two narcissists. Okay. So when I say or more narcissists, here that's when I begin to include other relationships: family dynamics, group dynamics, social dynamics, community dynamics, religious settings, those kind of things, spiritual settings, friendship dynamics. But when it comes to a romantic relationship, most long-term relationships in our day and age are between two narcissists. We just had not looked at it to say, those people, we've always seen many couples in our society. Once again, not everyone, okay? But many of us have seen those couples in our society, within the community. We'll be looking and we see, oh, that couple, that family, and all of those things. And it's like, wow, okay, it's such a beautiful relationship, such a beautiful family, and all of that. They've been together forever and everything. And it's a beautiful little Truman Show that we've got going on there. But no one really paused to ask themselves all those relationships that, or the families or whatever it is, that they grew up observing around them. Because as children, we look at these things and we're like, oh, I also want that. I wish I had that as well. When I grow up, I want to have that. I want to be like that as well. That's what we say as children, isn't it? But no one pauses, especially as an adult, to look back at those communities in their childhood when they say, actually, I want to be like those people. Your goals, your relationship goals, or whatever goals it is that you had as a child. No one pauses to think, but were those people really happy? Was that relationship really a healthy relationship? Was that family really a good family, both on the outside and on the inside? Or was it just an image that I was buying into? You understand? Because in most instances, if you were to really go into that situation and assess it with a real discerning eye, you will see that that whole situation was far from healthy. You understand? Somehow, those people knew how to maintain an image, a particular image, and no one is invested, or no one is more invested in a good image than a narcissist. So you were being sold an image, nothing else but an image. These people were selling you the stuff of the matrix. to say, you see, it's real. You see, it's possible. You see, these things can happen. You can have it too. But what exactly is it that you too can have here? What is it that you are being sold here? Many a times you are being sold lies. Many a times what is being represented to you is an illusion, a fantasy. People are looking happy on the outside. Inside, people are busy boxing each other every day. They are either boxing each other literal with fists, or boxing each other with words, or boxing each other with their conduct. But it's war. But you'll never see the war. You will never see the war because the people involved are that invested in convincing you that the whole thing is beautiful. I don't know if you've seen narcissists, how they operate. No one wants you to buy into the illusion of them having a perfect life like a narcissist. A narcissist could have their things could be literally burning down to ashes in their life. Everything in their life is going to hell in a basket, but a narcissist will still be walking tall on the street and selling you the image of someone who is more successful than anything you've ever come across. No one is a bigger con artist like a narcissist. A narcissist will sell an image of perfection like nobody else. All right. So, believe it or not, most long-term relationships that you see out there are narcissistic. So don't buy into things. Don't buy into images. Okay. Don't buy into whatever it is that you're seeing on the surface because you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. There's no one that is more codependent than a narcissist. All right. So there is incentive for narcissists to be in long-term relationships. As I might have previously mentioned, that Lisa A. Romano tells you that narcissists are more codependent than real human beings, or more codependent than codependents. They are the poster child for codependency, narcissists. So you have less incentive to remain in a relationship, especially a toxic one. Narcissists have a vested interest in long-term relationships, particularly toxic ones. So now here's the thing, here's that recipe. We live in a toxic world, all right? And then most people are toxic, most people are narcissistic, most people are broken in this world. So what does that mean for a narcissist? That means a narcissist have a better chance of having a long-term relationship than anyone else in this particular environment. You understand? Because the narcissist thrives in a toxic environment. It's right up in their alley, or it's right up their alley. And then they love toxic relationships. They need toxic relationships because it feeds their ego and it gives them narcissistic supply. So a narcissist cannot be alone also. So number one, when a narcissist latches onto someone, they will never leave that person to the most part. It doesn't matter how much that person abuses them or they abuse that person. Typically, a narcissist does not leave. It takes a lot for a narcissist. Like, really, you have to be a serious problem to a narcissist for them to end up leaving you. And that's not a bad thing for you to be a problem to a narcissist, by the way. But for you to not be able to have a long-term relationship with a narcissist, you have to be a really serious problem. A narcissist does not leave anyone. A narcissist latches onto people. Okay, literally like a leech, like a parasite, like this tick thing that, sticks on the dog. A narcissist latches onto a person for dear life, okay? And so now what happens when two narcissists find each other, which is what happens here in this world, because statistically, it's bound to happen more often than anything else, believe it or not. When two narcissists find each other, in most instances, unlike what we have been told, contrary to popular belief, when two narcissists find each other, they will latch onto each other as well. They're not telling each other, no, I'm going to latch onto you because I'm a narcissist, you're a narcissist. No. Naturally, that's how they operate. So this narcissist doesn't want to let go. The other narcissist doesn't want to let go. It doesn't matter how toxic the situation is. So what does that mean? They're going to have a long-term relationship. They might, take breaks from time to time when they want to cheat on each other and do all these horrible things that narcissists do. But they'll always circle back to each other. I've mentioned that in the previous video. They'll always circle back to each other because they need each other. Like, many a times you'll hear people say, I've had people tell me this, all right? Several people. And now when I look at them, I'm looking at them skew-eyed, okay? They'll say, oh, I can't leave him even if he's toxic. I'm not like you. I can't be by myself. I don't want to be alone. I can't be by myself. I can't be alone. I'm not like you. I'm not strong like you. I'm not Usually, such kind of people are narcissists. Not all of them. But usually, people who talk this kind of talk, they're actually trying to tell you that I'm actually a narcissist. And I'd rather, swim in toxicity actually than to, have that emptiness looking back at me and my demons now starting to gnaw away at me. You understand? Basically, by gnawing away at me, I mean, they start eating and pecking away at me. So I need to have someone to validate me. You understand? Most of these people are narcissists. They have convinced you that they are not narcissists because remember, the covert narcissist, they hide themselves very well. When you're dealing with the type of covert narcissist that I'm telling you is the major portion of the narcissistic population, most of the time, especially if you're not like in a very, very close, because even when you're in a very, very close relationship with them, it might take you a very long time before you notice what you are dealing with. And these are the type that in most instances, even if you figure out what you are dealing with, everyone else around you will be convinced that they are dealing with an amazing human being. They would think you are the luckiest thing in the world to be dealing with that kind of a person, because the person will literally be coming across as an angel. So now, if you are not in a very, very close, like in a romantic relationship with them, but this is maybe a friend or some kind of an associate, but it's someone that you've been dealing with for a very long time, most of the time you don't realize the type of person you are dealing with for a long years could pass before you see the true nature of this person. For example, a lot of people in my life who were covert narcissists, I did not notice who they were until 2020. And those people were in my life for many years, 10 years, 20 years. You understand? Some of the people I might have grown up with. But you don't see what you are dealing with when you're dealing with this kind of covert narcissist. They are that good. You understand? Even when they cut you, the cut is very small, very negligible. You understand? The assaults are very, very small, they are very strategic. You understand? They are very, very strategic. Okay. So let's. Oh yeah. So I got it. I know what the point that I was trying to make here, which is so this covert narcissist, whereby you would be dealing with them for a very long time without actually picking up the type of person that you are dealing with. Later on, maybe by the time you finally wake up, like for me, for example, there's people that I have dealt with. When I look back, many of them were in toxic relationships. They had at least 1 or 2 or 3 toxic relationships in their lives, right? And those toxic relationships that they were in, some of those relationships were relationships where they could have easily just walked away from. You understand? Well, not easily as in like it's easy, but it's not like, there are some toxic relationships where you are not really really able to just easily walk away from them, or I don't know, I don't know why. I'm not sure if we should use the word easy, but there are some relationships where you can sort of like walk away from, you can sort of like afford to walk away from it. There are some relationships that it's like you can't really walk away from, even if they're toxic, you understand? And then even then still, we can always have conversations about really, can you really, really be stuck to that relation? Do you really, really have to be, in that position where you can't really walk away from some relationships, things like that. We can always have a conversation about it, but that's not the point. The point is that these people, they, like, for example, maybe it's a boyfriend, you understand, it's a romantic relationship, and a person is talking about a lot of things that are happening in the relationship that are typically, red flags, and maybe it's clear that this person is dealing with a narcissist, right? And then maybe you have a conversation like, okay, it's not like the relationship is long lasting, and things like that. Maybe it's a relatively new relationship, or and then you'll be having a conversation that, okay, but you do know that that's not something that you would want to stay in, right? And then you'd hear this person talk about, oh, but I'm not strong like you. I can't be by myself. I can't be alone. You'd hear those kind of conversations, right? So I've heard this type of statements many, many times. Many times people will be telling me, oh no, but I'm not strong like you. I'm not like you. I can't be by myself. I can't just leave him. And it's like, oh, okay. But now when you look back at the situation, you realize, oh, this person was not really talking, because remember, the covert narcissist also plays the role of the victim very well. You understand? So then when you look back, it's like, oh, so this person was actually playing that victim card, but really what they were implying, what they were saying in that situation is that I'm actually fine with the toxicity, okay? And once again, there might be some real normal human beings that maybe might say such kind of a thing, but most of the time it's narcissists that say these kind of statements, okay? And they are implying that they're okay with that level of toxicity, and they actually prefer that than being by themselves, than being alone. All right, because the codependency is real when it comes to someone being a narcissist, because you wake up one day, you realize, oh my word, this person was a narcissist all along. This person, you look back and you reflect on the kind of conversations that you have had with this person, the kind of substantial contribution that this person would have made in your life, and you realize, this was a narcissist all along. How did I miss it? You missed it because this is a self-aware narcissist. This is the type of narcissist that, quietly sits down with you, usually has one-on-one conversations with you, ask questions with regards to life, sort of like philosophical type of questions. They have those type of conversations with you where they are searching. And then many a times they would even attach themselves to empaths, real human beings. And then they wear the mask of normalcy very well, because most of the time they attach themselves to a lot of real human beings. You understand? They surround themselves a lot with real human beings, but they'll always have some toxic people in their lives. And you will know that you are dealing with a covert narcissist, a real strategic one, and all of that, because when you, as a real human being, will battle to maintain such kind of toxic relationships in it doesn't matter who it is, you know very well that as a real human being, it's nearly impossible to maintain any toxic relationship because it's destructive to you. You understand? These people will be complaining all the time, narcissistic supply, about the toxic relationships in their lives, but they will not leave them. And they will not do anything to really change them or to set boundaries, or, they're not going to shake anything. They're going to keep everything as it is. But you will be suffering through all those negative reports that they will constantly be bringing to you about all the horrible things that you are dealing with. And sometimes these people will even put you in that triangulation position. They will triangulate you with these toxic people in their lives. But one of the biggest things that you will notice about this type of a covert narcissist is that they are the ones that they practice this thing that people will call it's not identity theft, but it's a spiritual destiny theft type of a thing. You know, as I said, they surround themselves with a lot of real human beings or empaths or normal human beings, and then they present themselves as those people. They like empaths, and then they present themselves as empaths many a times. All right, so it's almost as if there's something about the empath that they are extracting. There's something about the essence of the empath that they extract and they put upon themselves in some shape or form, so that as they show up in the world, you know, somehow energetically, they might come across as if they are empaths, unless, once again, the person that they're dealing with has some kind of discernment. All right. So such kind of women, for example, who are this closeted type of narcissist, I don't know if I should call them closeted or just covert narcissist, their partners usually think that they are empaths. You understand? Their partners will think, oh, this is the sweetest person in the world. Even the male version of this type of a woman, their partner would think, oh, this is a soft person, this is an empath. If the person is a real human being, their partners are real human beings. But if they come together as two narcissists together, then yeah, maybe they might enjoy telling people that my partner is an empath and all of those things, but it would really be just, you know, the image stuff. They wouldn't really be caring much about what the person really is. You understand? But yeah, two narcissists will come together and they will not leave each other. They will latch onto each other forever. They will abuse each other. They will do horrible things to each other. And everyone else in their lives will get to suffer as a result of their relationship, except for them. Everyone else in their lives will be falling apart because they'll be watching them suffering. But the narcissists themselves will be okay in that relationship. All right. And once again, if you are in a toxic or narcissistic relationship and you're not living, this does not necessarily imply that you yourself are a narcissist. All right. But one thing that I've learned the hard way is that if someone is in a toxic relationship, don't try to help. And as much as possible, many times, okay, did I say don't try to help? No, that's not necessarily what I wanted to actually say or how I wanted to phrase it. What I wanted to say is that if someone in your life is in a toxic relationship and that relationship, for example, it just keeps going on. Maybe the person is really suffering and they keep coming to you and telling you about all the horrible things that are happening. Especially if this is just maybe like a friend or an associate, or sometimes even if it's someone that is close to you, it's like there's a certain way that you can still avail yourself without entangling yourself in the mess of the whole thing. You understand? Because sometimes you will think that you're dealing with a normal person that's really, you know, in need of help. Because sometimes a real person can be stuck and addicted in that trauma bond and be wanting to leave a situation but not yet have the tools to be able to do so. And then you want to somehow be available in some shape or form to be able to help the person exit whenever it is that they are ready. But you also don't want to create a situation whereby the toxicity of the situation is just feeding off of your energy and somehow you are being triangulated with a toxic partner, but there's really nothing going on there. Because as I said, many a times in such kind of situations, you are dealing with a narcissist and you are not aware and you are suffering through the whole thing. Meanwhile, you think you are helping. Because I always say this. That's why I said there by mistake to say, you know, don't try to help or don't be in a hurry to help or whatever it is that I said. Is because many a times people who are actually asking for help don't really want your help. They're actually asking for your help just so that they can extract your energy. This is one of the things where I say there are many times in my life where I ask myself, why is it that Jesus did not heal everyone? How can Jesus, God of all gods, come onto this earth and there are some people that are busy calling his name, crying out, asking for his help, and he doesn't help them? Why? And then I began to understand narcissism and I thought, there you go. Some people are not really asking for help, okay? Some people come across as if they're asking for help, but they're actually just trying to extract your energy. Okay, they're actually trying to harm you. All right, so this is what I'm talking about. And so when two narcissists are in a relationship with each other, you who is in their lives might be in trouble for that reason. There's some secondary way that you might find yourself being abused and not even be aware that you are being abused. All right, so I will continue with this particular video on part 2.